I believe that one of my greatest experiences advocating for somebody in the healthcare system is when I worked as a behavioral technician. As a behavioral technician, my first client um, was a vocal, high behavior, very intense case. Um, when I got him, he was 4 years old. He could say maybe one or two words. Sometimes they were jumbled. He had a really difficult time communicating and um, would express himself a lot through negative behaviors. Um, I worked with him from 4 to almost 6 years old. So about 2.5 years, I lost his case when he almost turned 7. But I would say, in the grand scheme of things, he was my biggest form of advocacy. Unfortunately, where I worked, um, his inability to speak sentences for various medical reasons caused a lot of strife for him within the facility because it felt a lot of times people wanted to take that easy way out and wanted him just to use words, which he struggled to do, which led to him being overwhelmed and it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. And because of his behaviors, a lot of members just wanted him to comply, and I did not agree with that, nor did I agree with the general notion of he didn't understand things. So he was my biggest advocacy case as I fought with my supervisors on how to care for him, how to deal with his behaviors. I cared about compliance, but I wanted more for understanding and I wanted him to have a fair chance. If we were allowing other kids to, you know, try to remember their parents' name and where they live, things like that, I felt he should have that same chance, not work into a situation automatically going, oh, he wouldn't understand that, he wouldn't know how to do that. So a lot of my work with him was just showing people that he could and that he is such an intelligent boy. Um, and then again, just getting him to understand things. I did work on compliance with him as that's how ABA works, but I also just worked on understanding. I advocated for lessening his workload when it came to education because of where he was developmentally. I believe that it was more important at the time for him to not learn rudimentary, elementary things that could be learned in a school, but learn skills that he would need no matter how old he gets, from brushing his teeth to tying his shoes to getting ready without having his mom or dad having to fight him for 30 minutes every morning about it, adjusting to change, being able to tell someone no, asking for help. Just, I felt the most important thing I could do for him was give him a voice, and until he had one, be one. Um, so it was uncomfortable. I won't lie. I had a lot of ups and downs with those that I worked with, but I pushed through it because I felt like he deserved to prove himself just like everyone else. And just because the way he communicated wasn't traditional doesn't mean it was wrong. And at the end of the day, my job was not to conform him to normality, but to figure out how he understood the world and navigate it with him, for him, and teach him. Um, so that's what I did. Now he is 8 years old, going on 9. Um, he actually aced his math class. He's getting moved to an honors math class within the next school year, hopefully. Um, I still get to, now that I'm no longer a behavioral person with him, I actually do get to keep contact with him and his family. I see them quite often. Um, through my advocacy for him within the building, it taught his parents how to truly see him and advocate for him anywhere. And I have seen such tremendous growth out of him. Even though I don't work with him nearly on the same level of what I used to, the bond that I created with him is still there. And through my workings with him in that manner, I not only got to instill into him and help him grow to hopefully be the best person he can be, I constantly get to see those same skills and same things that I fought for go into his parents and his grandparents and his extended family. And knowing that I might not have been able to give him all the support that he needed, but through my desire to ensure that he didn't fall behind just because I, as his person, had to put a little bit more time and effort and strategizing into his care was probably the best thing I could ever experience. Um, take in those lessons and really and use them in other areas, and just knowing that he is growing and learning and still benefiting from things I taught him years ago. And his mother is able to use some of those for his older brother, and it's making their lives easier and it's making his quality of life better. Is truly the best outcome that I've ever asked for, and I'd do it again.